We are delighted that you're joining us for another podcast of Wake Up Align, and it is the podcast for chiropractors, where we get to talk about chiropractic lifestyle, and topics of interest. You can contact us through our email, and that is mailbag@amcfamily.com. Folks, we are so glad that you're with us today. We are super excited about this show because this episode is what it's all about for us. This material that we're going to share with you is our purpose. It is our mission. It keeps us motivated to keep pouring in. And we cannot wait to share it with you. I'm here with my good friend and my partner, Tom Owen, and we're going to get right into it. I don't want to waste much time, but I do want to give a word of caution. We're going to be sharing stories of other people's success. Now, sometimes we get in our own seasons where things are challenging and things aren't going so well for us, or we're in a struggle bus moment. And when that happens, we can take these stories of inspiration and stories that are designed to elevate you and let you know of the good things happening out there, and we can corrupt them. We corrupt them by comparing ourselves to them. Don't do that. If you're in a struggle moment, if you're in a tough season, I want to ask you to just disinvest from that. Just disassociate with that temptation to have comparison, and just wrap yourself up in the good stuff going out there with other folks. See, there was a time when chiropractors used to be inspired by the success of other chiropractors, and you should be inspired by it. You should not only want the best for them, they should want the best for you. And to know of other people doing it in spite of their own sets of circumstances that are less than ideal, that should give you some inspiration. That should give you some motivation, some energy to persevere through this season that you're in and actually grab for something beyond where you think you can be. All right. So we're going to turn it over to Tom here. I know that he has a lot to share, but make sure that you get the essence of this episode today.
Well, you just said something about comparison, and comparison that's a real no-no. It's a real no-no. You have absolutely no business comparing to others. Now, providing hope and being inspired by others is good, but nobody needs to try to be Tom Owen. No one needs to try to be Shannon McMurtry. No one needs to try to be, and compare themselves to any one person that, we may celebrate today. The key is to get in the habit. See, there's that word, habit. It's very rarely in business and in basically success in life, it's very rarely the most talented. It's very rarely the smartest person in the room, believe it or not. Almost always it's going to be the person that's the most consistent that's going to win out and really hit a level of prosperity, success, and abundance. And I'm not talking about just material financials. I'm just talking about operating at a level of abundance. You have to do that consistently. So I use that word habit. So you need to get in the habit of celebrating your small victories and not compare them to, so-and-so got 20 referrals, but I only got 4. Look, if 4 referrals is double of what you used to get of 2, then we celebrate that victory, and then you turn that 4 into 6 and the 6 into 12, and that's how it grows. But if you're constantly comparing I don't have this or I don't have that and I'm not them, and that is a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for really depression and frustration and depression and basically insanity. You will burn out. That's a recipe for burnout is comparison. It's a disease. So as we do this, the objective today is hope. What's the most powerful factor, AMC members? Let me give you a question that's going to be on your Apex test when you're going to want to become a part of the, people from the past would know as the Go-Getter Club. Well, there's going to be the Apex program, and you have to pass a test.
There.
Okay. Other than the word love, what are the two most powerful emotional factors in life? I'll give the listeners a chance. Can you answer that? Love is the most powerful factor in life. What are the two that follow right behind it? And that is hope and fear. Well, we've spent quite a bit of time talking about the fear of the economy, fear of recession, fear is not real, but it's motivating, right? It can control your life very, very quickly if you allow it. But the other one that's even more powerful, the most powerful thing, the best thing that you can give your patients each and every day, each and every visit, doesn't matter if it's the consultation, 3rd visit, 8th visit, 82nd visit. Most powerful thing you can give your patient to get them to keep coming back is what, Shannon?
Hope.
So that's what today's about, is just celebrating our victories and providing hope, because the reality is inside of AMC, there is a lot of hope. So, man, if you're good with it, Dr. Shannon, I'm just going to get going.
Let's jump into it.
Let's jump in. I've got, pages of them. Where do I start? You know what? I'm going to go with one of my all-time favorite AMC members. So sweet, so humble, unassuming, right? Could come into a meeting and leave a meeting and you don't necessarily know she was even there, right? But one of the most talented, certainly the most qualified AMC members is Dr. Maureen Work.
Oh yeah,
from North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give her a shout out. She's a 19-year AMC member, and she's still growing. Last year, so that's her 18th and 19th year inside of AMC. Think of this, folks. She didn't wait until her 18th year to grow her practice. This is 18 years in, and it's still growing. And she grew over $53,000 in collections just last year for her best year ever. And she says 2022 is set to be even better. So, a lot of people don't know Dr. Maureen Work. When I say qualified, she sits on the board. She has sat on the board of the Atlas Orthogonal Institute.
Yes,
she was a Roy Sweat board member. Mm-hmm. So more than qualified. And there it is. It just shows you, folks, when I put that expectation out there, find the former member, let them take the test drive. You know what? It's the long-term members that are inside AMC. We had, tell me if I'm wrong, Dr. Shannon, we had over 100 members, right at 100.
Right around 100, yes.
Right around 100 members grow their practice $100,000 or more year over year just last year or within the last 18 months. Okay? Folks, I want you to stop and think about that for a moment. That what I just said, that's real. That's hope. That's sustainable. That's factual. But here's what's interesting about it, Dr. Shannon. The vast majority, the largest demographic of those 100 are long-term AMC members. It's the long-term AMC members that are seeing the largest percentage of growth. So those former members that unplugged at the wrong time, once you find a source, you stay plugged in, man. And it's these people that the long-term members are the ones that are really reaping the rewards. And here's another dose of hope. How about this one? We had nearly 200 AMC members just last year had their best year ever, right? So it's not like a shot in the dark and every once in a while somebody here and there is, hitting the mark. There's you some hope, right? Don't compare yourself to Maureen Work. But the fact is, if she can do it, you can do it. And 200 other members are doing it. So there's no reason why, with the right support your right engagement and commitment, being at your summit meetings, get to your certified training centers, dedicate yourself to the online library. The resources and support will produce this. Let's see. I'm going to give you one more before I throw it back to you because I know you've got your own list.
I do.
How about Dr. Amanda Austin? Okay, another one of my favorites. Obviously, Amanda goes way back in my heart. Very few people, again, somebody that can come in and leave the meeting. She's probably more qualified to speak than any current blue coat other than myself. How about that? She doesn't see herself that way, but she was actually at the, I won't necessarily call it famous, right? But the founding meeting where Dr. Owen and I decided, okay, let's see what kind of needs out there. And we put the word out that we're going to have a meeting in the reception room of our clinic in Rossville, Georgia, right? And I won't take up the whole episode here telling that story. That's another story for another day. But the point was we were looking for 4 particular individuals, and those 4 people showed up, types of practice that we were looking for. Anyway, there was a 5th person there. Guess who it was? It was Amanda Austin, and she was a student at Life University at the time. So she was actually sitting in the reception room the day Dr. Owen and I basically launched AMC 27 years ago. She's later, 2 years later, we opened her in her current location, and as they say, the rest is history. So she's been a member for well over 20 something years, and she is on pace. Are you ready for this? She's on pace to grow $170,000 over last year's collections. I will repeat that. Here's somebody that's been around for over 23 years in practice, and she just is on pace to grow over $170,000 more. So there's nobody that deserves it more than Dr. Amanda. She's very near and dear to my heart, and I can't think of anybody that deserves it more. I'll let you have a shot at it, but I've got pages more, so
yeah, just very quickly on Dr. Austin. I have the honor, the privilege of mentoring with her, and you would think, oh, well, she's been around that long, and that's her pace of growth this year. Oh, she obviously has no problems. There's nothing going on in her life that could be derailing or distracting. And I'm going to say, don't you kid yourself, right? Until you walk a week in her shoes, you have no idea what she has to deal with. But the thing that makes a difference for Dr. Amanda is her leading that team the way that she needs to lead them, right? And that's one of the reasons she's actually one of the people that I had in my head when we embarked on this office manager program, right? We wanted people to be equipped to train that office manager. And Amanda's a great example of that. Very proud of her, and she deserves all those accolades she's getting. Tell you somebody I want to bring to the table is Doctors Justin and Dr. Candy Ford. Justin and Candy Ford. Now, they're down there in Mississippi, but you would know that if you looked at their numbers and look at their records. Dr. Osborne, our good friend, remembers talking to them, their very first meeting, and talking to them about their office evaluation and just kind of getting a sense of where they were in their concepts of value and worth way back then. And I worked hand in hand with their mentor, Dr. Rick Palma, great mentor. You know, I had some calls with that team myself talking about their concepts of value. You know, that's a very important subject for me. Well, here's the great news. Got a text from them, I guess this was yesterday or day before, and this month is an all-time record for that office. Tom, you ready for this? Finally surpassed over $75,000 collected, right? And that's in 1 month. Yep. And as you know, they've got that new building purchase. They're getting that thing renovated. They're going to have themselves a palace down there in South Mississippi. But they are worth it, and we knew it. They didn't quite know it yet. But now that they are kind of identifying with that value and that worth, great things are happening. And I would not be surprised if we don't see Dr. Candy Ford in a blue coat one day and one of our membership mentors, right? And, that's our commitment to anybody in this company is we're not just going to say what to do. We're going to put you with people who have done it or are doing it, right? That's our commitment. So you're in the right hands. But so proud of the Fords, and they're not done yet by a long stretch.
I'll jump back in there if you're ready. I got one. You know what? Here's I bring up Dr. Maureen Work. I bring up Dr. Amanda Austin. I've recently talked about Lisa Beagley, and now I'm going to bring up Dr. Polly Hediger. But you know what they all have in common? These are our ladies.
Yes, sir.
The ladies are rocking it.
Yes, they are.
And there's actually more ladies to give you that shout out. There's actually more females chiropractors graduating chiropractic school than men. They're the largest demographic. Mm-hmm. And by far, Shannon, you're the stat guy.
Yep.
By far, our ladies inside of AMC are the leading demographic.
They are
of growth as well. Correct.
They are.
Yeah. So it's that's not a coincidence. But anyway, I said Dr. Polly Hediger. You know what? I just remember Dr. Polly. From when she first joined. She's out there in Arizona, Mojave, Arizona, and she is on pace for her second year of $1 million a year practice. So she's on pace to exceed $1 million for her second straight year, and she just continues. She's never backed down from a challenge, and just because sometimes it wasn't necessarily easy, it didn't slow her down. So she's figured that out. Some of you may or may not know she has implemented a great deal of the Vitalio Edison system into her practice. It's a substantial, and it's turning into just what Dr. Osborne has always taught about Vitalio. It becomes that residual income, and it's a part of the culture without you having to work harder. So she's doing $1 million. For those of you that are trying to, how's she do that? Well, she's doing it, and she's working not nearly as hard as she used to, right? It's about learning how to work smarter, not harder. So big shout out to Dr. Polly. I don't know if you have anything, any history with her that you want to share before I go on to someone else.
Yeah, get to mentor her as well. And she's another one that's just an absolute joy, a pleasure to work with. She is actively interviewing associates. We are looking to expand that office, both in employees and number of people serving, but the types of services that we're offering that community. And her husband is about to start his own business as well, kind of get back into a business that he's familiar with, but own it outright now. So a lot of great things happening for them. And if there's one person I'm going to bet on, it's going to be Dr. Polly Hediger. You'll never see me betting against her or counting her out, no matter where she is on her journey. It's not just the veteran folks. I almost called them old dogs. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine our mailbag if I said old dogs after bragging about the females? That would not be good. It's not just the veterans out there. We have new ones that are doing well. In fact, our Right Start division is the biggest division that we have inside of our AMC family. And we just got one across. This has just hit the airwaves. Dr. Mark Jeter. Mark Jeter is fairly new to AMC. I think he signed up with us just a few months ago. And his mentor just sent in an update. He had 3 goals that he set initially. Every single one of those goals was exceeded this past month. And here's what's the great thing about that. The doctor hasn't even completed his office modifications yet, right? The evaluation about his space and just changing it up to make the flow better and make it more innate. He's not even got that completed, and yet he's got his first 3 goals that he set for himself accomplished right out of the gate. I tell you what that is. That's great attitude of that doctor. That's great system and program from this company. And that's great mentorship by his coach, Dr. Bill Creva. You know, Dr. Creva, for those of you who don't know him, that guy is a dynamo. He's one of those geniuses. He was an engineer before. Now he's a chiropractor. He can teach on subject he can teach on anything, I think. He's written several books. He knows marketing backwards and forwards, and he is a great mentor as well. I just want to give a shout out to that guy as well. We don't see him around at meetings as much as we used to, but the value and the level of excellence he brings to the table every single day is much appreciated. So I'll throw it back at you.
Amen and amen on that one. You know, folks, you might think this episode, that we're not getting any tangible, tools to utilize. You could be focused. Well, where's my lesson? The lesson is recognizing that inside these stories are the realities of your hope. It's just about tuning into what you want, defining that. Are you in tune with your mentor? Are you engaged? What level of engagement are you? We can provide all this service. We can provide this content. We can provide this potential, and I use that term potential. When I say potential is truth in waiting. See, all this stuff that we're talking about today, it's already true. See, it's true for them. It can be true for you. That's what potential is. It's truth in waiting. All you have to do is start acting on it, believing in it, and acting upon it. And I just encourage you to examine your level of conviction, your level of commitment, and sketching it out. Are you engaged with your mentor? Are you engaged, committed to learning and implementing the full system, not the surface stuff? Anybody can play around with the procedures, right? If success was tied up in scripting, you could buy that online, right? Anybody can teach a parrot to talk. It's about developing who you are. Think about that. Do you think that it's finally Dr. Lisa Beagley, after 17 years, has finally figured out the first report of findings? No, it's because it takes time over time for you to experience things, and then you step back, you're still committed to it, and you're reflecting and you're honing your skills, and there's a different level of expertise. There's a different level of compliance or conviction that you're able to reach. You're thinking at a different level, and that gets below that surface level. You're getting into that subconscious stuff because it takes time to develop that in you. You have to see it, experience it, and most people see it, experience it, but not everybody takes the time to reflect and then to remain teachable enough to actually hone the skills. So, yeah, go ahead.
I got to add on to that because, that's why I wanted that word of caution in the beginning of this, because I remember where I was years ago and I would hear of people's success and doing well, and I would think, well, they don't have the challenges that I have. And I want the listeners to know the people that we're talking about, if you wanted to talk to them one-on-one, they'd be more than happy to talk to you and share their story. I'm not going to share their details, but just in the group we've already mentioned, we've had people who've had their own healthcare challenges and scares in their world. We've had people who've had staff turnovers in their world. We've had people who've had disease and death in their extended families in their world, right? We've got people who have who've had crises at home or in their physical clinic that we're talking about, right? It's not like these people just hit, oh, this is easy street and we got no problems anymore. Even the folks who are achieving or on pace to achieve their best year ever, their life isn't perfect. My life isn't perfect. And I want every listener to know there's nothing that you're dealing with. Yes, even death, there's nothing that you're dealing with that somebody else hasn't dealt with and as chosen a path of success or helping more people. So their message, there's nothing tangible. You got to put yourself and project yourself forward into these people because they don't have a perfect life either. So I wanted to share that.
There's no such thing as arriving.
Amen.
There's no such thing of the easy road. There's no such thing as taking the foot off the pedal. Life does not stop coming. Life keeps smacking you in the face. Life, you don't arrive until you meet St. Peter. So life doesn't keep coming. But if you don't have something to fight life back with, then life can overtake you.
Right.
Right. And just because the storms keep coming does not mean that we're not pressing through and cutting through that storm. And if you have the system, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding of how to combat that, you can slice right through the worst of storms and still move on to a different level of productivity and fulfillment and prosperity. I know we always end up on that money thing. It's not the money.
Oh.
It's just the confidence and the understanding and the fulfillment and the joy, right? You can be going through challenges and tests. I'm going through challenges and tests right now. Can you tell it, Shannon?
Nope.
Can you tell from my message today that I'm dealing with you? I've got some significant challenges going on, but as long as I have a place of service and I can keep my focus on the needs of others, buddy, I'm gravy. It's all gravy, man. I have the best job there is. I get to pour in to the needs of others. Same thing here. These people are just reaching a different level of, I would say, fulfillment. They're a different level of impact. That's the word I was looking for.
There you go.
If you don't have another one, I've got somebody. I'll jump in. You mentioned some people that deal with even challenges on their in their physical location, and it just so happens right in front of me. Doctors Long and Dr. Duffer.
Amen.
Webster, Texas.
Yep.
I mean, I'll throw that to you to give the story, but the background. I don't think anybody listening today has dealt with the amount of physical challenges that they've dealt with their location, not once, but twice. But I'll read the honorable mention and I'll let you tell the story.
Absolutely.
But they're on pace to grow their practice. Are you ready for this? Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love these two ladies. They are on pace to grow their practice in 2022 by $250,000 more this year than what they did last year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me repeat that one more time, just so you didn't miss that, because I know that's too big for a guy from Columbia, Tennessee to count. But I need you to understand, they're growing $250,000 more in 2022 than they did in 2021. And obviously, they say they contribute all that growth to their AMC mentor that's poured into them over the last 7 years. Again, another long-term member, right? But just to provide hope, we'll tell their story to provide hope. We tell these stories to let everyone understand.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, man, if they can do it, you can do it.
So here's their story, the stuff that's not on that honorable mention. Webster, Texas is a suburb of Houston. It's right next door to NASA. I mean, we're talking about white collar market, which for many chiropractors, that's a little bit challenging. They are in stone's throw of Texas Chiropractic College. You would think that would be a challenge and shut people down. These two ladies have got the best attitude that I've ever encountered in my 20 years of mentorship. And they will not, you can knock them down, but they will never stay down. Their very first month with us, I remember that stat, they had 66 patient visits. 66 patient visits for the month. Now, from where they started to where they are now, they've had a flood. They were flooded out of their office completely, but they came back in when the flood waters receded. They put it back together. Never once heard them complain or moan or get despondent about that set of circumstances, and they started treating patients as soon as they could after that event. There was a hurricane that came through Houston a few years ago. How many of you remember Hurricane Harvey? Man, this sucker came into that area of Texas and parked for days, and it dumped buckets of water. And their clinic flooded again because of all the water, and there's no drainage in the city of Houston. So their clinic floods again. But not only did it flood, they had an electrical anomaly, and the building caught fire after it flooded. So what did they do? They found a space just right across. They moved everything that they could that was still usable across the street. They hung up tarps inside of that new space just to separate the rooms or the areas in that new clinic, because I mean, everybody was rebuilding. You couldn't get a certificate of occupancy, but the city was giving grace on that. And so they just hung up tarps to delineate different areas of their clinic. And over time, they put that thing back together. And that is a beautiful office today. But they didn't let the hurricane slow them down. They didn't let the new flood slow them down. They didn't let the fire slow them down. And then most recently, this year, they had an electrical issue that knocked out power into their building. And at first, their building owner, their landlord, was not so sure that they were going to get that repaired. What'd they do? Did they give up? Not these ladies. They went out there and they rented a diesel generator. Every day they would come in and have diesel put into that thing, and that powered their clinic for 2 months. And Tom, anytime they shot a set of x-rays, they'd have to turn off the electrical, the heating and air conditioning system so it didn't trip the breaker on that generator. But they lived that life, and you never once heard them complain about it.
Attitude and commitment.
There it is. Exactly right. Yeah. So
what
proud of those
level of
ladies.
Commitment are you in?
So proud.
Are you, I say when I tell people, get to FAB, get to your summits, are you involved? Are you committed? It all boils down to it. What level of commitment are you at? Don't make an excuse, make a commitment. Everybody has an excuse. Life keeps coming. They'll give you an excuse every day. But those ladies don't take it. They don't listen. They don't hear that. So if you're okay with it, Dr. Shannon, let me share just a couple more, and then we can wrap it up, because the point of today was just celebrating the good things happening inside of the AMC family, and to recognize that no matter what the static is out there in the world, right? Whatever, if you don't do a media fast, there's plenty of negativity to focus on. But the reality is that there's hope inside this AMC family. And it's not just false hope. This is real stuff. This is happening left and right. It's what's so comforting is to know that this isn't based on Tom's opinion. It's not based on some niche marketing that may be here today and gone tomorrow. It's not some strategy that I threw up on the wall and see, hey, that's kind of cool. Let's throw that up on the wall and see if it sticks for a while. No, this is all real principle system-based, where you can put the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together and have 1,000 pieces to put together. It doesn't matter if you have 992 of them put together and there's 8 pieces missing. Will your picture ever be complete? No. And where do your eyes go to when you have those missing pieces? Your eyes go to the 8 missing pieces. That's what is here for you. It's for the taking. And that's the hope of today. So I have just a couple more shout outs that I want to give before we wrap it up today. How about this one? And I'll go, in fact, instead of just doing 2 or 3, let me just read these. This is just awesome stuff. Dr. Chris and Tracy Rush, 2021 was their best year ever. Now you need to understand, they've been with AMC for 21 years. So they experienced an increase in collections over 2020 by $163,000. All right. So from 2020 to 2021, they increased their practice $163,000. Now, before that listener out there that's not an AMC family member, they think, well, their practice crashed in 2020. No, actually 2020 was one of their best years ever as well. How about Dr. Ryan Porterfield? In 2021, grew his practice $200,000 over the previous year. Again, 2020, the practice didn't crash. It thrived during the pandemic. And he and his wife, Alicia, has been members for 8 years now. Just going down my list, it's just so much fun doing this. I'm about David Yachter. I talked about Dr. Dan earlier. Dr. David, he's raised his CVA. Here's a different kind of stat. Raised his CVA, collection visit average, from 55 to over 80, while taking his collection percentage average from 72% to over 95%. 2022 is set to be his best year ever. Doctors Alan and Krista Sider, two of my long-term favorite members, such good people from up there in Michigan. They've been members now for 17 years, and they just celebrated another record year in 2021 with an increase of $71,000 over the previous year. And I'm going to wrap it up with somebody they haven't been in practice for 20-something years. How about Dr. Madeline Agu? I can't believe she opened her practice. It's been since 2016. That's amazing. Seems like she just opened just a few years ago, but she's on pace. 2021, she had an increase of $79,000 over 2020. And yet, here's my favorite part of it. Her care plan acceptance rate hit annually 80.5%. 80.5%. So that just goes to show you don't have to see 50 new patients to hit these numbers. So for those of you that are out there listening and you hear this stuff in your head, you only know one model, right? The one model that's out there that everyone thinks it is that it's that pain model. It's not a true wellness model. It's not one that has a lot of patient compliance. That's how you get that national average of a 6-visit PVA. When you hear these numbers and you hear these practices, you think these people are just burning the candle at both ends plus an extra end, right? You can't comprehend and understand that these are self-sustaining, stress-free, referral-based practices. They're working smarter, not harder. And folks, AMC members and outside of the AMC family, this is real. This is happening right now. Don't buy the hype. Don't buy the static. Make your choice. I choose not to participate in any recession if we have one. And always remember, by the time they announce it, you're already coming out of it. And our AMC members, we're not operating in anything like that. We're not operating in a point of scarcity, because the fact is people are going to find what they need. They're going to focus on what they need, not necessarily what they want in times of uncertainty. And always remember where you stack up. Chiropractic is the best value in healthcare in general. So just remember that, own it, take solace in it, and realize that that's true hope, right? It's not a false hope. It is a real hope. There is truth in this hope. And that's why I like to say there is potential for each and everybody that we celebrated today, Dr. Shannon. There's potential not only in the stories that we shared, but there's potential within each and every listener's practice. And I just want to encourage you to draw that line in the sand. It's time for you to draw that line in the sand. If you're a listener and you're just constantly always listening to us, but you don't ever make that real commitment, it's time. Don't you think it's time? Don't you get tired of being sick and tired? Draw the line in the sand and make a commitment. Say, I'm never going to be that person again. It's obviously not produced you the results that you were looking for. You know, are you fulfilled? Are you happy? Are you joyful? Are you prosperous? Are you walking in abundance? Do you have control? Do you have compliance of your practice? Do you have the practice of your dreams? You know, a lot of AMC members would answer yes, 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 yes. But if you're anybody that's out there that's saying, no, not really, then it's time, don't you think? So any listener, I encourage you, reach out to us. That's what the AMC family's for, right? We're here to take care of chiropractors. AMC's never taken advantage of one, not in our entire 27-year history. So I wrap this up by saying two things to my listeners. Well, our listeners, I'm sorry, Dr. Shannon, didn't mean to leave you out there. Number one is we have FAB coming up, and it's not a request. It's an expectation. You need to be at your FAB. Now, first of all, I think you should be the people that make the commitment of being at all summits, each weekend meeting of training. They're the ones that are moving by the fastest percentage, the greatest percentage within all these honorable mentions and testimonies I've shared today, all these stories. The ones that are moving by the biggest percentage are the ones that are at all the meetings. So that's not a coincidence. That and certified training centers, those two things are going to move needles more than anything else. But I encourage you not to be at FAB. It's your FAB. Make the investment. It's an investment, not an expense. I'll assure you the material that's going to be covered at FAB, it will provide a return of investment in very short order. It's going to be material like no other. I know I say that a lot of times that, hey, this FAB's different. I'm telling you, this one's different. There's a lot, if you haven't seen it, there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of new changes that AMC is going through. There's going to be a lot of opportunities, and there are going to be limited opportunities that the people that attend FAB that are going to be able to take advantage of it. So if you're not there, not only are you not going to get the great content, you're not going to get access to these limited opportunities. Some really, really monumental stuff that's going to be shared at FAB. Last but not least, folks, yes, I do this out of the kindness out of my heart. Yes, I enjoy this. Yes, this is part of my purpose, but I do this to impact chiropractic. And I don't know every chiropractor, but you know at least one. All right? So let me repeat that. I don't know every chiropractor, but you know at least one. And whether they're a former member that needs to know about taking Dr. Osborne's 90-day test drive membership so they can come back and see all the enhancements that AMC and transformations AMC's gone through, you know who it is. You also just know a chiropractor, whether it's somebody you graduated with, somebody that's down the street, somebody that you see at association meetings. I don't care what you have to do. I don't care. You get on the next thing smoking and you go find those people. You text them, call them, reach out to them within 30 minutes of the close of this show. They need to hear this just as much as you do, and you will help me fulfill my purpose. So I'm challenging you right now. Like I said, I or Dr. McMurtry, neither one, we don't know every chiropractor. We want to help every chiropractor, not for my benefit, but for the benefit of chiropractic. That's the bottom line. When it's all said and done, when I'm dead and gone, all that's going to be left are the lives I've touched and to what extent they were changed. The same goes for you. And we will look back at this moment of time. If this person connects at the right time with the right message and we fill the right need, we're going to always be able to look back and know that it was because of this effort. So I encourage you, I challenge you, I expect you. I expect the phone to be ringing. I expect the emails to start coming in. Somebody needs to hear this. Somebody needs to be at FAB, or someone needs to talk to AMC, and you know who they are. And I'm just hoping that the conviction hits your heart and realize that you play a part in this. This is not all, what can I get? What can I get? What can I get? It's what can we do together to impact this profession that we both love. So I'm going to, instead of throwing it back to Dr. McMurtry, I've probably gone over time with that. I'm going to wrap it up for this week. Tune in next week, folks. We're going to dive into a brand new subject. We're going to go a different direction, but it's going to be one that will impact the chiropractic practice. And with that, I hope everyone knows just how much we love and appreciate each and every one of you. Serve well this week. God bless.
And one more thing before we go. If you're a chiropractor who's searching for a better way to build a more sustainable, low-stress practice, then you can contact us at amcfamily.com. You can schedule a discovery session, or you can access any of our free content, webinars, podcasts, and the like.